what I find is it's easy to get members. What I find it's difficult to do is to keep staff. So when we talk about big stick emotional cement, I'm going to be talking not only about members, getting them to stick and delivering the emotional cement there, but for the staff as well. So again, the virus madness has created, this opportunity, I would say, for what I call club, capital C, capital L, capital U, capital B. We have an opportunity now to put our fingers into our members and keep them forever. So what we're trying to develop are tactics we can use to create those emotional bonds that ultimately will make long-term relationships work. So the little tagline I like to use, and it's at the bottom right now, they'll thank you for the machinery, but remember you for the poetry. And it's interesting. I give you an example. A number of people have actually spoken to me, members of different clubs, and they say the love is gone. And one of the tragedies I find is that we focus on the stuff so much that sometimes we forget the emotional needs that members and staff have. And 50% of what we do is machinery. We got to make sure the coffee is hot, the vichyssoise is cold, whatever it might be. But the delivery of that emotional component, that opportunity is there. So we're going to be talking a lot about that today. So the first thing, Beth, I'm so wound up and I apologize. I'm so excited. First of all, I'm excited about the presentation, but one of the first questions you ask is why workshop? You got 50, 55 people on right now. The question is, why are you here? And somebody might say, I need a quick explanation, whether it be the board or your senior staff. The first thing is to stimulate curiosity. And the curiosity is, what can we do to put our fingers into our members so that they're emotionally connected to us for a long time? What can we do with the staff? If we only have the staff for 8 months, what can we do to connect them emotionally to the organization and to connect them with the members closely? And that's a big thing, to enlarge your network. Now, the negative here, Beth, is that we're not live. If we were live, there are all these connections that go on. It's much more difficult on Zoom, but we're here to create that network. Like I'm looking at David right now, David Mangan. So all of a sudden I'm connecting with David, but it's not the same as being live and in the room. It's a different issue. So the next thing is to absorb education. Now, what do we mean by education? Principles and practices by way of example. You're saying we need to create emotional cement with our members. So that's a great principle. Now, the practice is know every member and every staff member's name and use it continuously. What I call GEG, greet, engage, goodbye. That's a principle with a practice attached to it. So what we're going to be talking about today are not only the principles, but the practices as well. Now, all the practices I talk about, you need to customize and personalize to your operation. By way of example, you look at the photograph right here, and that's Jordan Netter and her friend. And I was in my office, and my office is in the lobby, windows on 3 sides, and kids came in all day long. What I found, and this is a truism, I think, certainly in America, probably throughout the world, if the kids love you, the parents will love you too. So I put a lot of effort in generating what I call big love with the kids. So they love to come into the office, and I had chocolates on the desk, and they had to write their name on the board, and we had a conversation going back and forth. So her friend, Jordan's friend, would probably go home and tell her parents that at our club they do this, or at Jordan's club they do this. This is special. So when you look at that photograph, in a sense, it's trying to capture what I was trying to sell continuously, is an emotional relationship, a relationship with people. We want to find ideas with utility. Those are the practices that we're talking about. When you walk away from the seminar today, you will have, I think there are like 70 things that you literally could do that would allow you to create this emotional bond that I'm talking about. Next, I want you to have reflective opportunities. And it's interesting. I just did a thing in Texas. I was in all places, Austin last week, live and in person. And what they were talking about is, how do we create an environment in which staff are happy? How do we create a job, a career in which we are happy? And those are big ideas, but those are reflective opportunities. Reflective opportunities means you are asking questions. What is a good career? What is a good job? Next, to stimulate the buzz, right? I'd like to believe when you leave this seminar, you'll be as excited about the club business as I am. And believe me, when you're in your 70s, as I am now, and retired, quote, retired, but I'm still going to conference every year and engage with members and CMAAers continuously. You know why? Because the older you get, the more you need the buzz. And I have to tell you, I talk to a lot of managers, they stop managing and they have nothing more to do with CMAA. And all I can tell all of you, do not do that, because that's a connection that will allow you to feel the buzz until you're old and geeky. And believe me, Beth will agree, I am old and geeky. So let me go into the mission of club. And I say this right off the bat. Now, this is my mission. But at the same time, I'd like to believe I've not heard a better one anywhere. So if I were to go to the board and they say, what are the mission we're on? Because if you're going to do a strategic plan, the first thing you have to figure out, what is the mission of the club? And I don't mean one of those things nobody can remember. Your mission must be simple. It must be what I call a sexy saying, something that your staff can repeat, your members can repeat. It becomes a way of thinking about the club experience. So again, this is the photograph. And one of the things I'll be asking you in a second, what photograph would you show the world that captures your club and captures you as the general manager? Well, this is on the Sky Bar, and you can see me on the right, and I have, again, my typical thing at the beach. If I wore a tie, I wore no jacket. If I wore a jacket, I wore no tie. I'd been on the roof of the beach club. I was doing a Sunday upside surprise. The wind was blowing. I was shooting a potato cannon with tennis balls filled with money, drink tickets, and frosty tickets off the roof. I told the members, if we can get one of these on the Sky Bar, that's the Sky Bar, I'll buy everybody in the club a drink. And so everybody's cheering, they're getting excited, one thing and the next. And then, poof, I did it. So we all went up there and were cheering. When you join the beach club, and it's Looney Tunes, the beach club is like $100,000 to join. It's Looney Tunes, what it is. What are they joining for? It's just a funky old building. What are they paying for? They're paying for relationships and they're paying for community, but they want those relationships and that community to deliver big happy. So I'd like to say those are the missions. Now, the mission of the manager is to deliver big happy, to create relationships, to build community that is bringing people together, and to efficiently, 25% of what you do is the machinery. 25% of what you do is machinery. This is my perspective. To efficiently deliver the stuff needed to create relationships and community happy. And that's one of the big things that people are missing sometimes when they talk about KPIs, financial key performance indicators. They forget that the key performance indicators are driven by the emotional KPIs, the relationship KPIs, the community KPIs. Believe me, you will make money at your club if people love coming down because of the people who are there. So again, this is my mission of the club. Now you say, well, how do you translate that into the mission statement for the Beach Club? First of all, remember, the mission statement must be easy to remember for busboys, waiters, boards of directors, and members. This is our mission statement. We are in the happiness business. We are a home at the beach. We are the new neighborhood. And never did we spend any money on anything except the big three. So what is your mission? And then I want to come in and find out, are you living your mission? So sometime I want you to ponder this. We don't have time right now, but I want you to ponder. If we were together, and Beth, if this was a 6-hour seminar, I would love to do this. So this is a ponder question. 2020 was wild and crazy. A debrief is needed. WWW, what went well? One example. In your own mind, put it in your mind, one example of what went well. A lot of clubs will tell me what went well. We have a waiting list now. And in the 75-year history of the club, there has never been a waiting list. Wow, right? Next thing, even better if, EBI, one example of the year would have been better if. I know at the Beach Club, the year would have been better if, and Ivy is a brilliant manager. Think the world of her. We just lost during the busiest months of the year in June, 4 of our kitchen team, they went to a local hotel because they were getting more money per hour. 4. They had to reduce the dining options. That we had like 4 dining venues. They had to reduce the dining options at the club for that. Even better if we had lost no staff in the last year. So just ponder this sometime. Actually, what you should do is go back to your team after this seminar is done and sit down and say, look, we're trying to learn from experience, right? We're trying to draw big thematic issues out of things that we do in our lives. So www EBI, and this is what I use every day at the end of the shift. Every department had to do this before they left. www EBI. What went well? It's very positive, right? Instead of saying, oh, what did we screw today? What went well? And then the next one is a positive way of saying what the negatives was. Even better if. So this is an opportunity for you to ponder this. Put this question to your staff and learn from it, because what you want to tell your board is, we've had a horror story for a year and a half, a horror story. It's like, okay, but we have learned from this. We have been strengthened by this. You know, the steel, which is us, has been hardened because of this year's experience. So this is the emotional opportunity. Now, particularly, things are loosening up. And I was down in Florida in February, I think it was. We did our pre-conference workshop actually in Sarasota. It was wild. So Florida seems to have been open for a long time. All these people that I thought were at risk, old people like me, nobody had a mask on. I said, out here in California, I mean, if you walk out on the street, they will shout at you if you don't have a mask on. So the first thing is, we're here to fill the big empty. Now, this goes for new employees, new members, or employees and members during a traumatic time like we have now. Everyone has a big empty in their life. They're lonely, they're scared, they want dignity, status, and the buzz. Now, understand, when it comes to a new employee, and a lot of people are getting new employees now because they're losing the old employees. That new employee comes in and they're lonely. They don't know anybody. They are scared. What the hell is this job all about? They want dignity. They want to feel good about themselves. They want status. They want standing within that community, and they want the buzz. Every member wants that. Every staff person wants that. Now, people are saying, oh, we got a waiting list to get in. And I ask them, what are you doing to fill the big empty of a new member in the first week? Huh? You know, it's interesting. I was just talking to a club, and their board was talking to me, said, we've got to change our onboarding process for new members. I said, what do you mean? Well, our orientation process tells them where the toilets are and what the days, but that's not what we're selling. We're trying to sell what you're talking about, this emotional thing. How can we change the orientation, the onboarding process for new members, so that we capture them for a long time? So it's not getting the members now. The criteria I would use at your club, we're going to talk about in a minute. The social KPI is, how long do members stay on average? I'm going to judge you more on that than I am anything else. That is the end result, a statistic end result of filling the big empty. People now more than ever need the warm embrace. People, it's madness. I'll give you an example. Downtown Los Angeles, not apartments, but office buildings everywhere, empty. If any of you have friends who are in commercial real estate, it's a horror story right now. But where are those people going? They don't want to sit home all the time. They come down to the club. How can we deliver the warm embrace to these business people who want to get away and at least be around people, and give this opportunity? This is our opportunity to deliver the warm embrace. How do we do it? A community of caring, an understanding community. Everybody's looking for this. We have an emotional opportunity right now. And the thing is, we as managers must know how to handle that situation, handle it effectively, right? Because our boards will ask us, what are you doing? And one of the criteria, it's interesting, I've been talking to a number of headhunters. As you know, I know these guys, right? They've been friends of mine for years. I said, what is one of the criteria you're looking for in the new manager you want to hire? Said, clubs are looking for managers who have experience with troubles and creative solutions to the troubles they encountered. So creativity is now a huge part of what you do as a gentleman. We've always been managers, doing the right thing in the right way. But knowing what the right thing is what leadership does. And leadership right now understands that members and staff, in order to capture them for the long time, need the warm embrace and a community of caring. So we need believers right off the bat. Now, I'm going to go through this whole thing today. And obviously, I'm very excited about this because I believe, and I have always been in the club business because of the people. Right? I like that relationship. Why am I still in CMAA? I've known Beth for a long, Beth, I've known you for a long time, right? What I love about CMAA is the continuity of relationships. You know, the fact is, look, I'm an old geeky guy. I've been in this association for like 45 years. Think of that. People over that period of time, those are my friends. That's part of what it is. But you need believers, right? One of the problems I find with young people just getting out of college, is that they are business people. You need business. Business is very important. But what you need is the emotion. If any of you have seen the Dead Poet Society, watch if you can. But Robin Williams there says medicine, law, engineering, those are important. We need those. That's that 50%. But we live for the poetry. We live for the emotions. So whatever you do when it comes to finances, it's the emotions. By way of example, you go to a finance committee meeting, and I loved them, right? Ask me questions, but you're creating relationships, continuity with those people over a period of time. But you got to have believers, right? A fish rots from the head down. So you've got to have a general manager who believes, lieutenants who believes, supervisors who believes, president board, members who believe. I'll give you an example. I believe that one of the things you invest in is facilities that members use to create relationships in community and build Big Happy. Just give you an example. So we're at the beach. So bocce, I said, bocce, old geeky people like me can play, but I happen to love bocce, can play bocce. I said, why don't we put in a bocce court right on the beach where everybody from all these spaces, sky bar, porch, clubhouse, can see it. So it becomes part of the member experience. So I went to the finance committee with this. Actually, I wrote an article about this. It's interesting. And I said, I want to do a fabulous bocce complex. I want to put a bar there and also say $125,000, which maybe you guys in Florida, because I know Florida's a big money place. That is loony. They looked at me and they laughed. Have any of you ever done that? They were not believers. And they said, Gregg, you'll never pay back what it costs to invest in this thing. I said, what it pays back in is member retention, member usage patterns, what I call linger time. I want members to come down and linger longer, right? And I said, this is going to happen, right? So we put it in. Again, I've been out 6 years now since I was GM. But we put the thing in, and the finance committee finally said, okay, we endorse it because we want to believe that it'll work. And Gregg's been here 34 years. He must know what he's talking about. It's been a huge success. So now the finance committee says, oh, we're printing money on the budget because we've never made a cent. The bar, the court, the whole thing, it doesn't matter. Members are queuing up to join the place because we have a gathering location. That finance committee became believers in the mission of club. That's real world. This is not fantasy stuff. So how do you get these believers? They got to drink the Kool-Aid. Now, who delivers the Kool-Aid? You. Right? You have to have enthusiasm. What was it? Franklin Roosevelt said, enthusiasm is more effective than efficiency. Repeat that. Enthusiasm is more effective than efficiency. This is a huge issue to keep in mind. Your enthusiasm for your clarity of vision. We're in the happiness business. We create relationships in community. I'll give you another example. We're doing a major renovation expansion, one thing and the next. And members are saying, why should we spend the money on this? We've got a grill. What do you have to do? I said, anything we do that increases the amount of linger time, the amount of come time and the amount of linger time, we invest in. And obviously, once you do, you find that it works. This comes from the top. Each of you in the audience must be a believer in the power of emotional cement. So, social KPI leadership. What should you do if you're going to be a KPI leader? social KPI leader. First of all, you've got to know the why of social KPIs. Why are we doing this? Why do we insist that all staff know every member's name? Huh? Because knowing somebody's name and using it connects you in a very special way. How many of you gone into a new restaurant? People are very gracious. Oh, welcome to the restaurant. Very wonderful. I go down to my club from the moment I join. I'm a member of the Beach Club now, which is glorious. What can I say? Better to be the member than the manager. Right. But I drive in and the security guard waves to me. I'm walking down. He calls me by name. I walk in, the front desk person calls me by. That's power. How can you leave a club like that? My wife has no experience in clubs. She was never in a club growing up, never came to the beach club because the beach club was a work environment for me. She said, Greg, I'll never use the beach club now that we're members. Oh, that's wonderful, but I'll never use it. But she came down, started getting into bocce. She's now the captain of our team, and my team is all past presidents. Those are the guys I know. I got 34 of them. Right. She got into Pilates. Right. She got into my book club. I got a nonfiction book club. And all of a sudden, if I were to die tomorrow, the last thing she would sell is the beach club membership. Keep that in mind, right? That's interesting. That's my wife. That's a real world example. So you've got to know the why of club. You want to be a leader. Next, you've got to have a template for creating your why. Now, what I'm going to give you today is a template. Now, Beth, you got to send out this PowerPoint to everybody, because the fact is you're not going to be able to write down all the ideas I'm going to throw at you. But you should go through each one and say, oh, that's a good idea, or that's a dumb idea, whatever it might be. But you need to create a template. So say you have a new lieutenant, an assistant manager, or a new department supervisor, said, we are focused on social KPIs. Here are the 15 things we expect you to do. And one of the problems is the beach club, because we're on our third manager since I left. So 6 years, I mean, it's a lot of turnover, right? Hopefully we'll keep this one forever. But the fact is people said they don't know what we used to do. Anybody understands historical institutional memory evaporates over time. And people are saying, how do we get that institutional memory back again? Well, somebody's got to have a template. I mean, it's easy to do. What is your template? And one of the things is you may leave after 5 or 6 years to get the next club with more money, more opportunity, more status, whatever it might be. But you should leave that club in great hands. Never burn bridges. And leaving your template, your institutional memory behind is absolutely fundamental and critical. So once you've done that, you've got to do the here audit. Social KPI leaders, you should go back to your office, your underground office, not your club office, because you'll be interfered with. Create your template, the 10 things that we're going to deliver to staff or to members, and we're going to teach those 10 things. That becomes the here audit. You go through, say, well, we don't know this, we don't do that, you got to do this, whatever it might be. That's not important. An audit now, the here audit is done without bias. Oh, that's good or bad. You don't say good or bad. You think free and you think gray. And thinking free means every idea, the audit is you just throw it on the table. Thinking gray is that you don't say yes or no, good or bad too quickly. So the here audit, you identify there, where do you want to take them? So you're on the board of directors, you're a brand new manager, been there 1 month. Board says, we want a white paper that identifies where we are right now and where we're going, because through that white paper, I want to see what you perceive to be a great club experience. Huh? So that's what the template is. So you can write out the report. Again, I love it. If anybody wants this stuff, I got hundreds of white papers. I love doing this. My job as leader manager was to guide the thinking of the board of directors in the direction that I knew was right. I call it the nudge, to influence those who make decisions, to make decisions consistent with my vision of the good. And people say, oh, that's that, you know, you're just a manager. No, I'm not a secretary. I'm not like in England where you have a captain and a secretary. I am the general manager, CEO, CFO, COO, whatever it might be. I lead. And so you have to guide. And that's one of the important things you have to understand. So you identify that there. You select the who. This is critical. The first manager we had at the Beach Club after I chose 3, because my senior team, you know, all retired afterwards. 3 new lieutenants, I call them, assistant manager, clubhouse manager, that sort of thing. They were awful. And I have to tell you right now, people judge you, the manager, the leader, for the lieutenants you select. So knowing the who, first thing, and the reason I said it took me 5 years to clean out the organization and to get rid of those people that I said wouldn't make it into the promised land, just like Moses in Exodus never made it in the promised land. They didn't have the right personality for the club that I wanted to create. And it took time, but I tell you why did I say 34 years? I know what it's like taking over a club that's in trouble and turning it around. It ain't fun, or at least for me. Some people love it. They're empire builders. So the who is critical. What are your criteria? What are the criteria you use? If you tell me what your social KPIs are, I can tell you who to select. You can teach anything to most anybody. Not counting maybe, but the checklist, the how. What you have to give me is how does a person do, how will your team do the things that you're asking them to do? By way of example, I did the orientation for every new employee. Not my human resource director, not anybody, me. So there were one's a supervisor orientation, the other general manager. But the first thing I wanted to give them were the basics, the philosophy that guides us. And the first thing I taught them, everybody, took 5 minutes, called GEG, greet, engage, goodbye. When you go by Beth now, you want to know her name, but if you go by and say, oh, good morning, how are you today? Greet, engage, have a great one, peace and love, right? It's amazing that that's a checklist item. So I can go through an organization right now, and I do a lot of club audits, and I just like to see how managers interact with their staff, how supervisors do, and I can write it up because I've got a checklist of what I'm looking for, right? We'll go through this. I'll give you another example. Just throw it right out right now. One of the checklists I use is, does the manager go to every funeral they're able to go to? And I would go to every member's funeral that I could, that I knew about. Oftentimes you find out after the funeral is over with. But I would go, and my members are all members of at least 2 other clubs, a city club and a country club here in Los Angeles. And there'd be no other managers there. And I'll give you an example of the power of this. One time I went, and anyway, at my celebrate the journey, my goodbye thing, we had all these people out on the beach and saying goodbye. One of my board members took the microphone and said, let me tell you who Gregg is. Huh? I said, what is this? It's like, and he was actually the athletic chairman. And I said, well, he's going to tell me something about sports. He said, Gregg came to my father's funeral and was standing outside when I left and gave me the big hug. And I'll never forget that. Are they going to fire you if you do that? And somebody might say, oh, that's a waste of time. Believe me, the emotional connection you have with people as a consequence of that is huge, right? So that's just one of those checklist items. So I'm going to a club and say, oh, whose funeral have you gone to recently? Oh, I'm a business person. I don't go to funerals. Or I send my assistant manager. I used to go, because I rode a bicycle to work every day. I used to go to funerals with my assistant manager, Nita, and my controller. And Nita was a terrible driver. Anytime the staff saw me in the car with Nita, they knew I was going to a funeral. Many thought it'd be my own because she was driving. So the last thing is, leadership means you got to have the buzz for this. Remember, we talk about you got to be a believer. A fish rots from the head down. If you don't have a buzz for clubdom, ain't nobody on your team going to have it either. I used to have a great youth program, and a lot of managers would send their youth director out for a week, a month, for the summer to understand what it is we do. And they would stay in contact with me. And they call up later and they say, Gregg, great summer, that sort of thing. But the manager sort of doesn't believe in it the way I believe in it. I hear this from marketing directors at the same time. They say, Gregg, we believe in what you're saying, but the manager doesn't have the buzz for it. Well, our job as leaders is to deliver the buzz. Again, efficiency is less powerful than enthusiasm. So how do you get that enthusiasm? So ponder sometime. Again, this is sometime. I'd like to say, I want to know, does your club have the love? And I give an example. I used to do that. I do it all the time with boards when I'm doing sort of a one-day retreat, and I do it with senior staff, because when I go to a club, I like to do the senior staff and I like to do the board, because I want to see if they're in alignment. Are you thinking the same way? So I have 3 questions that I ask. And it's amazing when you compare the answers of the staff to the members or to the board, they're usually different. So I said, the first thing we got to do, gang, is to create an alignment in the way we see the club experience. So does your club have what one word captures your club culture? What one word? At the beach club, the kids, because I'd ask, these are questions I ask of new members, just to open up the conversation, because they're in with me for 4 hours in my office, 4 hours, and we're just laughing and joking the whole time. But they just paid $100,000 to join this stupid club. What's the word they use that captures the club? And then ask that same person a year after that. They might say the one word is golf. A year later, they might say bar. Now, they still play golf, but the place where they create the buzz is the bar. I don't know. What's that one word? Feel in sense, you'll know you're at my club because it's amazing. When I do this in Europe, and I was just in Scotland, well, actually, not just a year and a half ago when I was there, and you're asking us, what word? Golf. They don't mention members at any time. They don't mention staff at any time. So I know if they've got the love or not. Do you understand? I'm looking for social KPIs. Do they have the love? And it's without priming them for it. Find out what they say. You'll know you're at my club because. You'll know you're at the beach club because the manager's office is filled with kids. Huh? You say, that's not very professional. I do all my paperwork in my secret office. I do my people stuff at the club. That's what it is. You'll know you're at my club because the manager on Sundays will do an upside surprise, and there's always rewards for members because of it. And if you only had one photo that captures your club, what would that one photo be? I remember I was in Sweden doing this. Wow. And I went through this, and the photo, let me show you. And they actually gave me a calendar of the club, a calendar, 12-month calendar of the club. What were the photographs? Different hole, no people in any of those holes. So the one photo it's all about the golf course. It's not about the people. Whereas that photo I showed you is the beach club, or at least my beach club, right? It's Looney Tunes. So ask yourself, does your club have the love, right? So just ask these 3 questions, and ask these questions to your staff or some members. Don't tell them what you're trying to write it down, compare it, say, because we will teach to the word. Do you understand that? What one word captures the club? Fun. That's all the kids would say fun. The adults would always say comfortable, or at least 80% of the time. Interesting. Fun and comfortable. Fun. So how do we generate fun? The word drives the education. So social KPIs. Now let's talk about this. Social KPIs, the type and number of direct and indirect, people-to-people encounters that generate emotional experiences that lead to the creation of relationship and community. Repeat this because this is powerful. Social KPIs are the type and number of direct and indirect, people-to-people club encounters that generate emotional experiences that lead to the creation of relationships and community. Huh? So I'm going to list all of these KPIs and one thing next. Emotional experiences generate emotional cement. I'll give you an example. Believe me, when I was an old geeky guy and you're there 34 years as general manager, I've like yesterday, I was playing bocce at the club yesterday at lunchtime with my wife and a number of other members. And a member and their daughter and her daughter sat down there. And I said, "Oh God, you're so-and-so. And is that your daughter?" I said, "What year in high school are you?" She said, "She's a junior at Stanford." The reason is when you're an old geeky guy, you remember kids from years ago, right? It's like your kids, when your kids grow up, if I knew them and I'm not the parent, you say, "God, you're not 11 years old anymore." It's interesting. Those are emotional experiences. Those are huge. And that emotional cement. Now, Elizabeth and her daughter, I mean, she doesn't go swimming. I don't go swimming. I don't use the beach. What are we talking about? It's the emotional cement we have. So again, keep this in mind. Social KPIs, the type and number of direct and indirect. A handwritten note is an indirect people-to-people encounter that generates an emotional experience that leads to creation of relationships and community. Now, 50% of what you do, remember what we said, 50% of what you do is delivering the machinery. Believe me, is that an emotional experience? Yes. So all of a sudden your hot soup comes out cold. Does it generate an emotion? Yes. So every encounter with the club and its stuff generates an emotional experience. You drive into the parking lot. The security guard is looking at their cell phone and not at you and not waving to you when you go through. Is that an emotional experience? You better believe it. Now, it's an indirect, but it is an emotional experience. So, oh, where are we going? Here we go. There we go. Oh, all of a sudden it froze on me. Oh, what are you doing? There we go. Social net worth. Now, we go from social KPIs, which are the individual acts, to social network. It's like a big funnel. All your social KPIs distill down into your social net worth. Again, your financials do this. Financial net worth. Yeah, again, you look at that. What are you actually worth? It's a sum total of what that is. So social net worth is the sum total of your social KPIs. The sum total of your social network is the metric that we use for emotional impact. People say, oh, how do you measure emotion, Greg? One, do they come down to the club a lot? That is a KPI that measures emotional cement. How long do they linger? So members who experience social KPIs, they return, they come back, they pay more, they linger longer, and they spread the word. Emotional cement, right? So those who experience it, again, I used to just send out handwritten birthday cards to every member and spouse on their birthday, right? Handwritten with my Mont Blanc. Here it is, my glorious Mont Blanc fountain pen. Now, I'm left-handed, and if any of you are left-handed, using a fountain pen is a messy experience. Members couldn't read my writing, my horrible writing, but they knew it was from me, personally from me. And I put in 3 drink tickets with it, right? Because they love their drinks. I call them celebration libations. Every time they used one of those, what did they remember? They remember the club, because they could only use it. They remembered me for having written the note, and they would tell their friends about it. They become advocates for the experience. I mean, huge, huge issue. So they spread the word. People who experience the love spread the word. We never had a program, never had a marketing director at the Beach Club. Why? I never put an advertisement in the newspaper or online, way after me, for people, because we were a club of choice. We were a staff of choice. People wanted to be there. Our social KPIs were why, because we only paid equal to the benchmark. Do you understand? Now, the problem is now the benchmark is changing. So we're all paying more, for the same busboy that we had. Busboy can leave, go down to Walmart, and they're earning $5 more than they're earning right now as a busboy. They may love you, but they say, so our benchmarks have to change to equal the community. That's the machinery side of it. What is it? I learned this in graduate school. One of the few things I'd like to say I learned there is that money is a dissatisfier. That is, you work for pay, but you only are happy, you're only unhappy. Money doesn't make you happy, it makes you unhappy. If you don't have enough, it makes you unhappy. So I always say, job one of the manager, equal the benchmarks. And then you build the emotional component on top of that. But if you don't equal that benchmark, believe me, there's going to be unhappiness. And that's an emotion. Unhappiness is an emotion. So what is going on with this? Oh, Beth, I don't know what it is. There we go. Okay, now Big Stick. Now Big Stick is about loyalty, staff loyalty, member. So I'm going to give you the principles of loyalty. So you can go to your staff and say, well, how do we do this, right? I say, let me give you the principles of loyalty right now. It's a very important issue. Oh, there we go. Let me see if I can do it. There we are. Okay, maybe that was it. But Big Stick is about keeping people loyal. Staff and members' loyalty is what we're talking about. That's Big Stick. The power of stick to attract, people say, God, I've heard that. Again, that's reputation. To retain and to use. It's not enough that people stay members for 50 years, but they got to use it. I remember when I first got into this business back in 1973, actually 74 it was, not 73. A manager of one of the most prestigious clubs in the West End said, Greg, the best member is the member that never uses the club. I couldn't believe that this person said that. I said, is that true? Or how can that be true? I thought we would measure a happy member by use of the club. Oh, the best member is one that, they pay dues and this and that. We have it. And that club actually had a minimum. So they didn't use the minimum. So it was pure cash. They said, yes, the best member. It's like, it's a different philosophy for me, right? So the principles of sticky, let me give it to you right now. Now, this goes true for your marriage, your friendship, you know, the place you're working at, your job, loyalty is a big deal. And everybody says, oh, young people aren't loyal anymore. I said, dude, if you deliver the fundamentals, they'll be loyal. I guarantee it. Oh, marriages. I'm Reverend Gregg. I've married 69 Beach Club members, right? You know, and I officiated. I didn't marry them. I officiated at it, right? You know, the fact of the matter is, I love the idea of long-term marriage. Loyalty, emotional loyalty is a very big deal. So these are the principles of sticky. You know me and show me that you care. You know me. Two things. You know me as an older member. I don't want to be in tournaments anymore at my age, right? But I play tennis every day. Huh? You know, so that's Greg. I ride a bicycle. Right after this, I've got to go to the club. I'm on the Centennial Committee at the club, and we're doing all sorts of interviews and this and that. I'm going to bicycle to the beach club after this. Huh? Play paddle tennis, and I have a committee meeting, and then my wife and I are playing in the bocce tournament tonight. The beach club is a big deal for me. I mean, obviously, it's a focal point. But to know me, you have to not only know that an older man doesn't want to play in as many tournaments as they did when they are young, but Greg rides a bicycle. You know me and show me that you care. All you gotta do is say, great bicycle, Greg, I'm so pleased. It doesn't take much to show that you care. Huge issue. And that's one of the problems members are having when we lose staff, new staff come in and they don't know you. How many of you like to come up to a dinner table and have a waiter who you've never met before? Can be very professional, but you want to get to know them. And then the next night you got a different one, a different one. You don't know any of these people. So you know me and show me that you care. And the first way of showing is that you say, greet, engage, goodbye. Hello, Mr. Gregg, how are you? Right, see you soon. You know and meet my expectations. Huh? What does that member want? We are living in a world where it's the market of one. Everybody wants you to know them. Like I'm a reader of books. I read a lot of books, but I'm a nonfiction reader. My expectations. So I created a nonfiction book club at the Beach Club. I said, oh, no, we already had two book clubs. I said, well, there may be a couple of people. We have almost 90 people in this book club. I have to do 2 meetings a month on one book. Why? Because the expectations were never met before. Everybody thought, oh, just a generic book club would work. So all of a sudden, everybody wants a market of one. Do you know me? What type of golf shirt do you wear? We now have data. High tech is there to support high touch. Every one of you should know each of your members intimately enough to know what type of golf shirt do they like, what type of shoes do they like, what type of ball. The technology exists. We have to know expectation. This is one of the things actually I asked with the new member orientation. Again, we always kept, I'm a 3x5 guy. Yeah, I always put this away. I'm an old time guy, but now we use computers and so a new member comes in and says, you want to find out during that orientation is what is that member's expectation for the club? Well, my expectation is I can play bridge every day. Well, I know we now have a miserable new member, but anyway, that's neither here nor there, right? So, but anyway, we've got to find out. That is my job, to ask the questions that give me insight into you, into what are your expectations, right? You make my life easier. Oh, I want to make a dinner reservation. You can go online or you can call up. I want to make my life easier. People in their car, I've got to fly to the East Coast tomorrow. And I want to be able to go onto my cell phone and make a dinner reservation at the Beach Club next Thursday, right? But I might also want to call up. So either way, I can call up and there's Eric on the line. Eric, how's it going? I'd like to make this, whatever it might be. So understanding the expectations and knowing this is what you're doing with new staff. What do new staff want? Oh, my expectation is I'll get better and better and get a job someplace else. Great. We are the educational institution of choice for you, the postgraduate, right? We at this club deliver postgraduate education. So all of a sudden it's like, well, Ivy at the club hiring tons of these Cal Poly kids. They're just out of Cal Poly. They're fabulous kids, fabulous. Now they're not going to stay for 10 years, 30 years like me. But for the 6 months we may have them, for the 3 months, they're going to be huge positives for coming down to the club. We got to know what their expectations are. We came here because of BCU, Beach Club University, right? Blah, blah. You make my life easier, you make my life better. This is the key thing. What is better? How do you define it in your life? What is a better job? People jump jobs all the time. I say, okay, what's better? What is your template for analyzing a club? For me, I want to be in a club environment where there is stability, right? Okay. I want to be in a club where people laugh a lot. I don't know what yours are, but to make your life easier and to make it better and to do it differently. Now, when you go home tonight to your spouse, you say, I want to see why you are loyal to me. Do you know me? And show me that you care. You know and meet my expectations. You make my life easier, you make my life better, and you do it differently than I can get it someplace else. These are huge issues. These are huge issues. So let me see if, there we go. Okay, big stick. Now the value equation. This is one of my monthly all-staff meetings. And actually, you see in the center there, one of my maintenance guys was retiring. So at our monthly all-staff meeting, we just put there are more people than that there. I just couldn't get them all in the photograph. And we're there cheering, and I'm beside him on the right. You can possibly see it. I got the open shirt sort of thing. But we're laughing and joking. This is what people want. They want enough money. They want to equal the benchmark. Well, I can't go over here and be maintenance. I'm not going to make more money, right? But they're going to give me the love, right? So V equals E minus C. This is a valuable job because the experience minus the cost. That's what value is. Value is experience minus the cost. People say, God, that's a lot of money to join club X, Y, and Z. The way they evaluate it is not on the price, but the experience you deliver. I'll give you an example. I had an airplane for 35 years, instrument pilot. I loved it. I was addicted to it. But at some point, right after about 33 years, I was doing fewer and fewer hours. If any of you are a pilot, you know the fewer and fewer hours you do, that your danger level goes up, particularly if you're an instrument rated pilot. And the value equation is what I finally said. Value equals experience. The experience I was getting in year 35 minus the cost, and it's like a boat. It's Looney Tunes, how much it costs to maintain a plane. Didn't equal, I sold the plane, shut the door, is over with. Very interesting. So members are looking at your club and they're saying, is the value we receive, that is the experience minus the cost, worth it? So that goes to employees. Is the experience you deliver, the monthly all-staff meeting, and I'm very big on monthly all-staff meetings, and I've written articles about this and all sorts of things, to bring people together. I'm a dancing monkey. I love to give you 2 hours each month. Now, I'll give you how the financial KPIs interfere. Right, the finance committee says, Greg, you give away about $1,000 every month. Yeah, because I do, again, all the stuff that we do. I don't have time to go into it, but we do. Yes, about $12,000 a year we're going to spend. Right? They say, Greg, $12,000. What's that? My job was to explain the emotional equation. I said, how you evaluate staff. One of the ways that I evaluate a team is how many years does the core team on average stay? And I said, under me, it was 17 years. Did you hear that? 17 years. So I said, loyalty in a club is a big deal because members want to see the same people. They want those people to know them, right? You're going to have to pay for that loyalty. And it's not about loyalty in terms of dollars and cents because they can get the job elsewhere. We're just paying the benchmark. We're not paying more. We're paying the benchmark. What we're delivering them is a greater value than that, of something far more. We are selling the poetry. You know how long it took me to convince people that this thing called poetry matters? Watch Dead Poets Society. We live for, I mean, you need science and industry and business and medicine. You need these things, but we live for the emotions. When you die, believe me, people aren't going to say, oh, they made so much money, they were so wonderful. They're going to talk about the emotions you generated in the people you knew, in your family, in your friends. It's about emotions they remember you for. They forget the facts. What is it, Maya Angelou, great poet, by the way? She said, they will forget what you did. They will forget what you said. They will never forget how you made them feel. They forget what you said. They forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. This is powerful. This is why you stayed married for a long time. my wife always earned more money than me. She's brighter than me. She could have had a lot out of the men, right? She stayed with me. Why is that? 41 years later, you sit back and say, because the value equation is in my favor. For whatever reason, the experience I deliver exceeds the cost. And the cost is that she can't run around to all these Italian boyfriends she'd like to have. So selling the loyalty cement. This is just a continuum. Tell you what, social KPIs drive emotions. Emotions drive relationship. Look at it in your personal life, your staff life. Social KPIs drive emotions. Emotions drive relationships. Relationships drive loyalty. And loyalty drives the bottom line. So understand 25% of what you do is the bottom line. The bottom line will happen if you do the poetry right. I guarantee you. Loyalty cement. So there are two types of KPIs, and we're going to address both of them here, Shirley. There are member social KPIs. There are staff social KPIs. Many of them cross over. Many of them, of course, we talk about, I was giving an example. For every employee whose birthday it was, I'd handwrite a note to them every day. And I had stacks of these, right? Because my administrative assistant would type them out and give me stacks, and they'd have dates on them. And so I do those that were 3 days down the road. It takes about 3 days for the mail to get there. And I'd handwrite them. And with the staff, I put in my business card on it. I'd say, happy birthday. Glad to have you part of the BC family, or whatever it might be. And up in the corner, good for one birthday envelope. So at the monthly all-staff meeting, everybody who had a birthday comes up with their envelope or with their birthday card. I take it, give them an envelope. They stand there, they open them. There's money in it between 45 and 50 bucks, and everybody cheers and the whole thing. It's a big emotional moment. It's not just your birthday. Thank you for being alive. It's we're going to validate that. Again, understand that you've got to appreciate and reward. Appreciation is we've got a birthday here. Come on up. Reward is there's a money component. Appreciation and reward. So good staff KPIs lead to good member KPIs and a high social net worth. Keep that in mind. If your staff ain't happy, nobody's going to be happy. I have members, not members. I've had managers come to me, said the staff's not happy. My supervisor's not happy. Come back, bring happiness to them. And I come back and I've got all sorts of principles and this and that. And I do, frankly, I do a lot of seminars, and that's what I was doing in Texas. Give you an example. The Austin one, I had a 3-hour, I was the keynote or whatever it was for their summer conference. The first thing was personal happiness. You can't bring happiness to staff unless you're happy. What are the principles of personal happy? And the next is, what are the principles of staff happy? Right? Those are social KPIs. How do we do that sort of thing? Anyway, if anybody wants that, I'll send that info to you. Happy to do it. So understand that this high social net worth translates into money. And those managers, and I give you an axiom of mine, those managers who deliver decent machinery, but deliver big time love, get the job, keep the job, and make more money. I can guarantee it right now. So, okay, at the best club, social KPIs drive financial KPIs. Now, I have a problem sometimes with finance committees. And hear me out for a second. Most finance committees think they set the policies for the club. I said, no, dude. All you do is determine whether the financial numbers are a reflection of the philosophy that others generate. Huh? No. And they love to go through and say, oh, we're going to chop this and we're going to do that. It's that's not their job. They'll tell you it is, but I'm telling you it's not. Their job is to determine whether the policies that have been adopted by the board, the fiscal policy like cost of sales or whatever, we believe that members should get great value when they buy dinner at the club. Great. Your cost of sales is going to be higher than a hotel, but finance committees usually have somebody who has a background in hotels or restaurants or something like that. They say, oh, that cost of sales is high. I said, by whose standards? What philosophy drives that? So you've got to know the philosophy behind the numbers, and the social KPIs are good. So financial numbers are a reflection of the social experience. Now, people say, oh, that's crazy. Golf clubs. Most people, when you ask them about what do they like about their club, they'll say, I love playing golf. Great. Do you play alone? Never. I play with my friends. Aha. The golf course is a medium through which you have a people experience, right? Now, golf course has got to be in great shape and a wonderful course and all that. I'm not saying that. But the people, I don't play alone. And I'm a terrible golfer, but I ain't going to play alone. Right? It doesn't excite me enough to do that. As a matter of fact, the driving range experience needs to be more than a driving range experience, because most people don't like to practice. They want to have fun at some point. They want to be social at some point. How do you do that? We could talk about that. That's a different issue altogether. But I mean, it's an important one. So I say the financial numbers are driven by the social experience. And our job is to explain the philosophy to our finance committee, right? So the member journey. Now, what we're talking about here, this could be the member or the staff journey. I'm just using member right now because it's easy, but it's really the member staff journey. There are 3 standards. Like every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. The staff journey or the member journey from your to your club goes through these 3 phases. Now I could break these down into different components. Time for that. There's always trepidation before they arrive. It's like they are lonely, they're scared, they want dignity, status, and the buzz. Before they arrive at the club, an employee or a member, they have trepidation. They're lonely, they're scared, they want dignity, status, and the buzz. That's why coming into the beach club, I used to have the security guard out there doing dancing monkey. You're waiting on the Pacific Coast Highway to turn into the club because there's a huge amount of traffic. And they're waving to you already. You come in, they give you the signal, you're walking up, you're giving them a wave, you're calling them by name, opening the door for them. Their trepidations are gone. They're no longer lonely. They're not scared. They've got dignity, status, and the buzz from the employee. Then evaluation during the visit. What are they looking for? Okay, they're looking for the technology, machinery. Was the machinery done right? They're looking for the people connection, right? Did they equal my expectations? Did they deliver big happy? Did they do the machinery correctly? They're when you're there. Now, again, I can do this at your club. If I was to visit, you don't even know I'm doing it. I just walk into the club, do the whole thing. After I'm done with my visit, I take my template because all of these things I like to say I made it up for you guys. Beth, I didn't. This is what I do. I have a template. I ask myself, did they take away my loneliness? Did they do this? How many times have I driven into a club and there's nobody there to greet me? Yeah. What I love in Florida is there are so many, the complexes that are gated communities. They have you stop and say, "Oh, I'm here to meet the manager," or whatever it might be. I love that, right? I love that from the moment I arrive at the club. The first thing you look at is, a curb appeal. Does the place look good? Yeah, 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 yeah. But the first thing they do is when you come in, that guy is Mr. or Miss Dancing Monkey. Great to see you. You're going to have a fabulous time here. Who are you here for? And oh, I just thought I'd drive in and piss off. Right. But the fact of the matter, but the fact of the matter is, I love what you do in Florida. There are more gated communities in Florida than I've seen in places. I love it. Right. People say, "Oh, it's a gated community." I love it because it's an opportunity. It's exactly what I did. I stole that idea with my security guy. I always told my security guy, if something happens, come to me. Because he's not there. He's there to greet people, to make you feel good. Before you walk in the door, your trepidation is gone. Do you understand? Before you walk in the front door, boom. What emotion do you have when you open the door? And the next thing is, obviously, I have front desk people. You had to sign in, and one thing, and the next thing, everybody's laughing and joking. You turn around, you wave to me. Before you leave the lobby, you're feeling the buzz. This is an emotion. So evaluation, I got my 7 principles of service anyway. This is how we do it. And I can say, oh, did they deliver this? Was it effective? Was it efficient? The 6 E's, anyway, no time to go into it. But I have evaluation tools and anybody can do it. It's so easy. Was it effective? Was it efficient? Right? But then did they engage with me? So ground zero is effective, efficient, right? Did they deliver what I wanted? But then going above ground zero, did they engage with me? So I can tell you what my criteria are. This is not a fantasy, boys and girls, right? This is something that you can actually use. And then determination after the visit, right? What are the criteria? And I have my criteria for evaluation. Will I go back? And this is the loyalty principles. I've already told them to you, right? Did they know me? What I love about going, I happen to love Florida. I love gated communities because the stopping place at the front is the touch point, of course. And they look at the thing, oh, Mr. Patterson, we have you down. Yes, you're supposed to be here to do janitorial work or whatever it may be. I don't care what it is. But the determination after the visit, right, is huge. If you have this template, each of these moments is a touch point opportunity to generate emotional cement. Huge issue. So you're looking for big picture metrics to determine if a club has big stick. Now understand what one of the questions that you could ask, I mean, first of all, what are those metrics? I'm going to give them to you. So obviously, but if we were in a 6-hour workshop, Beth. I'd say, okay, I want one metric you use to determine if a club is sticky. I'm going to give you my top 6. It's real easy to do. So you can go into any club in the world and say, is this a sticky club or not? Boom. Looking at the metrics of stick, right? So what one would you use to consider if a club is sticky? Well, I'll give you mine. Numbers to look at before examining tactics. The sum total, remember what I said, this is like a funnel, an inverted. You take all these individual encounters, these social KPIs, and what you end up with is a distillation of those social KPIs. Now, that's what these metrics are all about. I'll give them to you right now. These are straightforward. Member turnover per year as a percentage of the total. Well, look at when I was doing work in Australia, it's scary. Big clubs down there, the number of members, they'll turn over a third of the membership every year. And I say, well, the one thing you should do, they have 1-year subscription thing. They send out the bill once a year for the. I said, do it every month. $100 bill looks better than a $1,200 bill. Guarantee it. You don't think much about the 100, you think a lot about the 1,200. But how much member turnover is there? So they bring, oh, Greg, how do we reduce the turnover? It's like, God, you guys got problems. If you're losing 30% of your members every year, you are in trouble, dude, right? So right off the bat, I said, you haven't got the social KPIs down. Staff turnover as a year as a percentage of the total. Now, this is a big deal now. This is during a difficult time in the economy, during a difficult time for hospitality. And you all read the Wall Street Journal, I'm sure. And the Wall Street Journal has made a big deal out of how a lot of people in the hospitality business are reconsidering, do I want to be in hospitality now? And there are a lot of other options. I mean, if you want a job outside of hospitality, you can get it now. We have here in Los Angeles, the Amazon Redemption Center. It's like $20 an hour they're paying for just filling orders. It's like, huh? There's a horror story out there, right? So staff turnover during a difficult time may be a greater measure of your club than you've ever thought before. First of all, do you meet the benchmark? That's bottom line. Well, they pay $5 more than us. Tell your members you're going to raise the dues because you're going to pay your staff. Oh, we can't do that. But yet they'll put in $5 million into the renovation of the bunkers. Huh? So if the benchmark says you got to do it, you got to do it. And your members got to accept the benchmark has changed. We got to pay to the benchmark. But then after you've paid to the benchmark, staff turnover is a big deal. Why did they leave? Say, well, we accept that staff are going to be with us for a year because they're transitional. We use college students. Great. No problem with that. We have to do something special during that time, but it is a red flag. What you're looking at when you look at these numbers is what are the red flags you're looking for, because that's where you want to focus your time and energy. Member longevity on average. Our longevity, we had 650 equity members, right? We turned over 12 a year. Said, why 12? 12 to 15? Because they died. Nobody leaves, right? Why don't they leave? I'm looking at member longevity on average. What do the average members stay? Oh, well, they stay for 5 years. Great. Or 1 year, 50 years, right? I'm on the Centennial Committee because this is a 100th anniversary year at the Beach Club. And we're doing interviews with all these people in and around. You'd be surprised at the number of multiple generation families we have. It's like, wow. And everybody wants to say, oh, my family was one of the original. They weren't. They came in 1930 or something like that, but it doesn't matter. Member longevity is a big deal. And you could say family longevity, multi-generational longevity, staff longevity, huge issue. Legacy children, multi-generational children. I will evaluate a club based on that. One of the things, I go down to the club now, it's wild, and all these kids that are adults now come up and give me the hug and one thing and the next, and they remember 15 years ago when they had come into my office, we'd ask questions, I'd give them chocolates, we do crazy things. Huh? That sort of multi-generational experience is what ultimately we're looking for in club. This is a loyalty measure. Legacy staff, multi-generational. We're blessed at the Beach Club. We have a lot of multi-generational staff, and that's changing now. I have to tell you, it's changing, not just at my club, at all clubs. I was at the Bel Air Country Club the other day. I was doing a seminar over there. I started the Bel Air Country Club in 1974. As a matter of fact, they're renovating the clubhouse right now. And the general manager, Adam Fannin, gave me a piece of the original card room. So I have it, here on my shelf. I love that sort of thing. But that is a huge issue. that connection, multi-generational legacy staff connection. The reason I mentioned Bel Air is we had, again, a seminar I was doing as a workshop, and all the staff there he introduced them, they'd all been there over 20 years. One of the staff people actually remembers when I was there 40 years ago. Huh? That's fabulous. Doesn't happen a lot, and it's changing. I'm not saying this is the norm. We can measure frequency of visits. How often do members come down? Oh, the best member is the one that never comes down and just pays their dues. Wrong. Length of time during visits. This is what I call linger time. Understand? Linger time. In England, one of the problems that they have, and in Scotland, they call them trunk golfers. They drive into their club, they open up the trunk, take out the clubs, go out and play 18 holes, come back, put the clubs in the trunk, close the trunk, and leave. Trunk golfers. And I said, one of the things we have to do, because over there they want to say, how do we get more sales in the bar? How do we do this? How do we create this thing you call club? And I say, okay, we got to increase the linger time. What do you mean? Right? The linger time. They say, well, we got an old clubhouse. Doesn't matter. The clubhouse isn't important. The beach club is an old funky building. That's not what causes linger. Linger caused by people. How about your bartender? Do you have a great bartender, knows everybody's name, knows their drinks, gives them the love when they come in? No, we can't keep bartenders. Dude, you got a problem with linger time. Okay, so the key then is to reverse engineer. Once you know what's happening, member longevity, the average is very low. We've got to use our social KPIs to reverse engineer what we're doing. And people say the Chinese are great at this. They take the car and they will reverse engineer it so that they make their own, but it's really a copy of yours. They take the final product and they go back. Well, we got to reverse engineer from your social KPI metrics. That's what it comes down to. Just a second. Where are you doing? You're not okay. There. Come on, keep going. There we go. The emotional mission. Again, this is the mission we're on. We're going to go into emotional ground zero. You got to do machinery right. Do you hear this? Because if it's wrong, the first emotion people have is negative. If you go into the bathroom and everything is as it should be, it's a neutral emotion. Do you understand? It's not because that's an expectation. That's ground zero. The machinery is right. If I go into the bathroom, and this happens, I mean, I go into clubs sometimes. It's terrible. I'm sure it doesn't happen in your club, but I've seen it, right? And they have, the paper towels and the thing you put it in, and it's overflowing with towels. All of a sudden, that becomes a negative emotional experience. Oh, what a terrible club this is. They don't even clean their bathroom, whatever it might be. So emotional symbolism, you're looking for markers of emotion. I mentioned before, manager goes to member funerals. That's a marker of emotion. People can point to it, say they do this. Or the kids come in and Greg's standing in the lobby and greeting people on a Friday night dinner. And all the kids go up, these 5 years old, and give them the potatoes and the French fries, right? So the fist bump and the French fries. And everybody laughs. That's a marker of emotion. Right? So the next thing is emotional mastery. This is the tactics of emotion. Now, the great thing about staying in a club a long time, wonderful. Believe me, in the first 5 years, all the stuff I'm talking to you about, I didn't have a clue. Graduate school, you can go to Cornell, wherever, and believe me, they don't give you the stuff you really need to run the organization. I have to tell you that right now. What you need is great executive education, which comes after you've gotten out of school, right? And this is through CMAA or your local chapter, whatever it might be. Again, tactics are what we're talking about. What are the tools that we use? So emotional educator, your job is to educate your board, your committees, your members, your staff about the principles and the practices of emotional education. We have an expectation, right? I'm educating you. The principle is we're in the happiness business. We have an expectation, I'm educating you now, an expectation that you will look them in the eye, wave, and say hello when you go by. Whether you're a new employee, we have that expectation. I am an educator now. I've got to give you the principles and the practices because an educator says these are the expectations. I love to use Dick Copland's definition of culture. It's fabulous. The way we do things here. Hear that? The way we do things here. Now, the problem is, and what happens in a lot of clubs, you have a lot of manager turnover. There is no institutional memory. So it's a big negative for new management, but it's a big opportunity. A new manager coming in where it's chaos. And most of the time you get a job at a club where it's been chaos, right? Which I did when I got the Beach Club. It was awful, right? I was there a week and I said, what am I doing here? What an opportunity you can create. You can mold it into what you want. They usually get rid of a manager because something ain't going well. The new manager has that job. Understand you have to bring those principles and practices there. And again, you're the emotional trumpet. That means that you're preaching this all the time. By way of example, I mean, I'm sure all of you who are managers speak at the annual meeting. Well, what my members wanted from me was the emotional side of the meeting. So what do? Because everybody, the finance committee gets up and say, oh, this is what we did, and we want to thank these people. My job, and they always had me come up last because it took the longest and it was the dancing monkey. I introduced the senior staff, and here comes Rolando. He's been our athletic director for 15 years up on stage, and everybody's cheering. That's an emotion. You say, oh, these are the numbers. Oh, great. They're what we expected. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And all of a sudden, and we finish it, ladies and gentlemen, let's stand and give the team the love. And you got 300 people standing and cheering. Believe me, you don't get that in a factory. You don't get that at Walmart. You don't get that at Amazon. You get that in club, right? So ponder sometime when you have a chance. People to return to a community that cares. Give one powerful tactic behavior that tells members that the club cares. And then give one powerful tactic that tells staff the club cares. Right off the bat, just with your team, go back, take that back to your team and say, we want a community of caring. We want to show our members and our staff that we care. How do we do that? Well, with members, let's see. We keep our eyes on celebrations. Somebody's 50th anniversary. Great. We're going to celebrate that. We care that you've been married for 50 years. With staff, oh, we're going to celebrate. Okay, it's I used to do an anniversary celebration each month. Is reversed. So I'd bring up a department or staff. This person has been here for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. And the last person will be 30. And you get $1 for each of those years, just so you know. And everybody's cheering and shouting. And the last person has obviously been with us 35 years. Everybody's cheering. I mean, it's great. These are tactics. Again, so we're going to go into that. So ponder this sometime with your team. Come up with your own. But now I'm going to give you a whole bunch. Now, if there's nothing else you remember out of this seminar, you have to understand the prime movers of emotional cement. These are the prime movers. Now, these are principles. Understand, these are principles. These are not tactics. But the 7 touches, got to keep this in mind. And touch is big. Everybody talks about, oh, touch points. Well, I'd say, well, define touch for me. Right. I'm defining touch for you. There's the eye touch. I mean, how many times have you walked into a store or someplace and they don't look at you and you stand there and you wait for them to make eye contact? Eye contact is a statement that you matter to me. How's it going? Great to see you, right? The ear touch. Are you listening? I love to see a waiter, right? Are they listening? Nodding their head, looking them in the eye, writing it down. You've got to teach ear touch, right? Ear touch. Do they hear? Somebody, you ask a question. Are you listening artfully? Understand, artful listening is all of a sudden I asked David Mangan, I said, oh, David, how's the weather? He says, oh, Greg, it's wonderful. It's 90 degrees, 100% humidity. It's flat and mosquito. It's Florida, whatever it might be, right? But you're listening. So then I say, oh, David, you must love humidity because you're there in the summertime. Yes, I love humidity or whatever. You see, you have a dialogue, but that's active listening. So yeah, yesterday, this girl, I'll give you an example. Playing bocce, and it's just a practice thing. So we're having fun before we have lunch. So I was talking to this daughter who I've known since she was born. And here she is. And I said, oh, what are you majoring in at Stanford? Because the opener question, oh, where are you going to school? Oh, I'm going to Stanford. I said, what are you majoring in? Oh, biology and chemistry. Oh, you're going to be a doctor. And all of a sudden we had this long conversation between bocce rolls about books that I've read and one thing and the next. And when they left, believe me, she was glowing. I'm not the manager now, but the fact of the matter is you must have the ear touch to connect with people. People say, what's the easiest way to develop this? Ask questions. Ask questions. And that creates the ear touch opportunity. The question creates the ear touch opportunity. So the verbal touch, you're touching people by talking to them, right? The touch, potatoes and French fries. Before this madness began with the kids and the younger adults, I do the potatoes and the French fries. I like to say papas fritas, potatoes and French fries in Spanish, right? And we come down. Beach Club was a big hug environment. Women would give me the hug. The men would give me the big handshake or the fist bump or the elbow bump. People want to touch. Now, obviously, the coronavirus has changed the whole touch environment that we've got now. You've got to understand that we have to address that in some way. People want to be touched. How do we do that? Now, if you have gloves on, I don't care what it is, but people are looking for touch, right? The written touch, right? I love it. I love to handwrite notes again with my Mont Blanc. And again, nobody could read my writing. If Beth, if I wrote you a note right now, I guarantee you, I'd give you $5. You could not read my writing, but you would know it's from me, right? An emotional, that's a written touch, right? So I called it the 5-note a day rule for my senior staff. They had to figure out 5 reasons for writing notes. Now they could do it with email. Most of them do it email now, or handwritten notes. And your email should be personalized. And Beth, you've gotten emails from me, and right, photograph in there, the font I have, it's from me the minute you open up, right, Beth? It's from me. There's no mystery about it. You might say, what the hell is this madman talking about now? Doesn't matter. It is a connection. That is a written touch, and it's powerful. Then the intermediary touch, when I was talking about, the member, I sent him 3 drink tickets. Every time they use a drink ticket, I am touching them. I am touching. That's an intermediate touch. If you're on a committee, right? And I went to every committee, as did my 2 assistant managers, my controller. We went to all the committees. I love committees. And a lot of people disagree with this. I love committees, right? Because there's all of the touches that I'm talking about can be had in a committee meeting. All of my touches can be had in a committee meeting. And believe me, this is emotional stuff, dude. That's all I can tell. People say, oh, well, that's not efficient. I say, great. If all you are is about machinery, it isn't efficient, but it's about the love. And I made it 34 years, and I've got the airplane. It must work, right? That's the funny thing. People say it doesn't work. I said it does work. I'm the example. This is not a fantasy graduate school thing, right? The intermediate touch. I'll give you an example. When you, the member, all of a sudden, David, you're a woman now. You just had a baby. You're on my membership. You're in my membership. I send you a birthday bear, right? A little bear, Beach Club t-shirt on it, handwritten note that said, welcome into the Beach Club family. And you know what happens? A week later, David, the parent, writes me a note and say, I love my bear. Can you imagine that? They taught the kid to write already in a week. But, it's amazing. Every time a Christmas gift is an intermediary touch. Every time you look at it, you remember. It's like, oh, here, give you this. The first time, this is a Tiffany glass apple. First time I ever spoke at a world conference was 26 or 7 years ago in Hawaii. And it was a 6 a.m. one. They didn't know what was going to come out of me, right? So, and they gave me this. I can remember when they did it. Joe Perdue, if anybody remembers Joe, a good friend of mine, a wonderful guy, gave me this as a gift. It's a Tiffany apple. And I have it here on my desk. I said, wow, that's it. One of my members gave me this thing. I oriented them and their kids. I had 10-year-old orientation. And it says, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And it's just a little thing. It's a little silver thing they give me. You put it there. Those are intermediary touches. That's why we give gifts. We don't give gifts so they can use them, right? We give gifts so they can remember us. My mother didn't understand that. My mother gave me clothes at Christmas time. Very practical, and the family had clothes. But, it doesn't do the same thing for you. You know what I mean? Something impractical. My prep school, I'm on the board of trustees. They gave me a thing like this. Yeah, you give them a bunch of money and they'll give you a table weight, a paperweight. It's an intermediary touch. Then we talked about the ear touch. Oh, I repeated it. I apologize. Beth, I should look at this before I do it. Anyway, the ear touch we talked about. But the ultimate touch is the brain touch. That's why I love committees. Touching people intellectually is big. What I like to say, I tell students of mine when I was teaching university all those 14 years in the program, I said, understand, beauty fades, but interesting is forever, right? beauty fades, but interesting is forever. Interesting becomes a brain touch. Ultimately what welds people together is good conversation. Do you understand? What welds people together is good conversation. I just did an interview with a past president who is also a big volleyballer at the Beach Club. Almost 2 hours I was interviewing him on the courts on the volleyball court. And I'm just asking questions. They got the photographer there and all that stuff going on, the recordings. And it was wonderful. It's just him and me going back and forth. That brain touch, that welded us together. And one of the stories he tells, and this was, God, he was my third president. We were essentially bankrupt at the time, and he's a big venture capitalist guy. That's his thing, one of the typical out here in California, right? Big money guy. He said we were bankrupt. We were floating checks. At that time, you could float checks. You can't do this anymore. You young people don't know what I'm talking about. We'd write a check, send it through our bank in New York, and it took them a week to get it. By then, we hope the members had paid us enough money to cover the check. But the brain touch has welded us together. My wife has said, and many times people says, oh, what is kept you guys together? She said the conversation began in graduate school and it's never ended. Do you hear that? This is my wife. The conversation began in graduate school and it never ended. The brain touch is the ultimate touch. So when you look at emotional cement, these are the prime movers. Now, each of these, there are behaviors and tactics for each of these. And we're going to talk about them. I mean, I've got lots we're going to talk about now, but you can come up with your own. If you say, okay, we got to master the ear touch. Okay, you've got to teach classes to your staff in conversation. Those of you who have children, I mean, look, I grew up and my parents, anyway, they never gave me a class in conversation. The most important class you should take in school is conversation. Starting it, expanding on it, ending it. So the schools have failed, right? Your graduate school, your undergraduate, your high school, they failed. Our job is to fill in the holes that have been left by the education. So anyway, all of this stuff, translates into things. Using touch to create KPIs. People, now these, I love to do these continuums. This leads to this. People experiences deliver memorable. People experiences. I will give you an example. Just read a brilliant book in our nonfiction group. You should read it. It's called Finding Freedom. It's by the cook or the chef at the Lost Kitchen in Freedom, Maine, which is near where I live. Again, it's Time Magazine, the one restaurant you should go to from anywhere in the world. In the middle of nothing, right? In the middle of nothing. And her big thing is the people experience delivers memorable, right? Using touch. How do you touch people? It's $175. There are 25,000 people. You put in a request and it's a lottery to see if you get in this restaurant in a town of 300 people. It's a brilliant cook's journey. If you have a chance, read it. It's the most expressive of the woman's experience in the hospitality environment. It is fabulous. It's the Finding Freedom by Aaron French. Finding Freedom, Aaron French. It's brilliant. But anyway, we talk about people experiences of what make an experience memorable. Engagement underpins the people experience. You must engage with people. Hiring a busboy or a waiter who's very efficient is great. But if they don't have the goods, if they don't know how to engage and enlarge, I'll give you an example. One of the new kids that we have, I don't think he's a Cal Poly kid, yesterday in the grill, because Monday and Tuesday are slow at the Beach Club, but we were in the grill. Our team was in there, and he got his name tag on it. So Ruben's his name. Great cat. Oh, Ruben, how's it going? That sort of thing. But he doesn't know how to engage in a conversation. So Carlos, who's another new employee, but does, standing over him, teaching him how to use the machinery. So Carlos is talking to me and this and that. People experiences deliver memorable. Engagement understands the people experience. Hire people who can engage or teach engagement. Engagement requires the touch, and touch delivers the poetry. So, okay, touchers beware. Here's Jordan again. We had a number of photographs in there and here. Now she's a junior at UCLA, so it's kind of wild to look at these kids. They're all grown up now, right? But understand, touchers, and I'm a toucher, right? Beware. What does that mean? Some people just want the stuff. Now, I was talking to, my mind went blank. His name, my brain's gone blank. They just had the U.S. Open there this year in New York, Long Island. My mind went blank. You all know where it is. My mind just went blank. And we were talking about that. And he was actually in the UK with me. We were doing a seminar. The hills outside of London. Anyway, it was the Golf Course Managers Association meeting. And we were talking about social KPIs, and they did a whole thing on that. And he said, Greg, love what you're talking about. At my club, it's all about the golf. They don't care about the rest of the stuff. And it might be true. I understand that. So if a touchy-feely type of guy like me goes in there, I might get burned. You understand? Because all they want is the stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a complaint. But I tell you, if I'm a touch person and I'm in a less touch environment, somebody's going to get burned. It's probably going to be me, the manager. Some people are just touch adverse. I come down, I want to talk to you. I want to come down, I want to read my book on the beach. I don't want you to walk out here on the boardwalks and say hi to me and engage in a conversation. They're touch adverse. Look, I don't want to be, look, and sometimes that's my problem. I go down to the club and I just want to walk through. My wife says, we're going to have lunch or dinner with so-and-so. Greg, look at your feet. And what she means is, if I don't look at my feet, I want to talk to everybody I see. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, and if you're a member now of a club that you are managing, everybody knows you. They want to come over and talk. Look at your feet is her motto, right? Some people are touch adverse. Some people are touch deficient. They just don't have touch chemistry. They don't want it. I come out, I want to do a potatoes and French fries, and the guy says, Greg, is that appropriate for a club like this? Or don't touch my kids. I don't know what it is. You got to know what touch is appropriate in a given situation. Some of my members, they love to read stuff I write. They just don't want to listen to it or see it. One of the visual touches now, I love what you can do with videos. I tell you this, there's nothing like it. Where is it? My phone. This is an iPhone, an old iPhone. I love it. Take all sorts of videos with it, put it online. Oh, this is your chef making an omelet. Let's see how it's done. That's a visual touch. There's a whole new medium now but not every situation is touch appropriate, right? You've got a wedding coming in, right? And you're standing in the lobby greeting people, as I used to do. So the bride comes in, you get the potatoes and the French fry. That's probably not the right situation, right? So one of the things we have to teach staff and members is what is the right touch for the right moment. And it's a huge and important issue with dealing. What is the right touch for the right moment? And great touches read the signals. Now, I have a whole thing. It's called 5-minute education. I've written a couple of articles about it, during the up brief in the morning. One of the things you have to teach is what touch is appropriate. When isn't it? By way of example, a touch signal. A husband and wife at a table, they're screaming at each other. Do you the way to walk up and say, oh, how's dinner? You gotta read the signals. Our job is teaching people to read the signals. Huge thing. So this is one of those big things. Men, understand, Beth, you can agree, men are dumb as a rock, right? You go out on a date, men are there and they're all, oh, let me tell you, they like to show you the guns, right? But not the guns. They might say, oh, I'm the manager of this and my car is that and I've lived here and I've gone there. And the women look at you and you're saying, they're not reading the signals, are they? Right? It's like, what a boring human being this is. They're not reading the signals. So our job, and most of the staff that we get have not taken an executive course in reading the signals. I could give it to you if you wanted it, but we don't have time, Beth, right? I think this should be a 12-hour seminar anyway. Everybody's gone right off that. But teaching people to read signals is important. How do you do it? You do it with photographs. I'll give you an example. On a monthly all-staff meeting, I like to have them fun. So we generate, these are fantasy situations. And I should show them to you right now. So that we take a photograph and it's called What's Wrong with This Photo? And people learn more from what's wrong than from what's right. You think I'm crazy? Show somebody something is wrong. They'll point out what's wrong. Show them what's right, and they can't tell you what's right. Right. So I've got one. It's a classic. I have one of our member kids. He's 12 years old, pouring me a tequila. I've got a chef's hat on. My tie's undone. I'm at the desk. I got the staff there. They're all drinking. So I will pull a name out of the hat. I'm big on raffles. Pull a name out of the hat. They come down the front and they say, what's wrong with this photo? They get $2 for everything they identify that's what's wrong in the photo. And there might be 5 things and they get 3 of them. And everybody in the audience is cheering and going on because what they want is the person to screw up and then we pick another name, right? It's fun, but reading the signals is important. What are the signals you're given? I love, we got one where guy manager's picking his nose, a couple of bridge players there, what it might be. That, believe me, that is a wrong do. Or they're standing there and they're talking like this and they're playing bridge. Anybody here have bridge players at the club? If you do, you know what I'm talking about. Do not stand and talk to them while they're playing duplicate bridge. Don't do it. You'll be in trouble. So ponder sometime. Identify 3 encounter opportunities during the member journey and identify tactics for each encounter. Again, an encounter opportunity with a member. I'll give you one right now. They're at home. What encounter opportunities are there? They've made a reservation for dinner. Your staff have, whoever's in the office, calling people up and say, oh, just leaving the message. Oh, just a reminder, we look forward to seeing you tonight at 6 p.m. for dinner in the dining room. Huh? That's an encounter opportunity. That's an emotional. People say, God, that made me feel good. Most people will get an automated reply, right? Oh, from a typical restaurant. The reply comes in, it's like, thank you, we look forward to seeing you at XYZ restaurant tonight at 6 o'clock. How much more emotional it is. That's ground zero. The machinery is right. You must do that, by the way, just so you know. You've at least got to do that. But to have a personal call, boy, that makes you feel really good. Because then, again, if you don't have a lot of turnover in staff, the members know who it is. Oh, that's Nita calling. That's Andrea calling, whatever it might be. So each encounter. So you've got to identify social opportunities. Now, your team should do this right off the bat. I call this the encounter journey, right? You're mapping the journey. So you identify ing opportunities. Right? What do you mean? Anytime the word ends in ing, you need to create an opportunity. They are entering the club. Okay, what are you going to do there? They are leaving the pro shop. What are you going to do there? Right? They are eating dinner. Those are touch opportunities. Anything that has ing in it, you say that's an encounter opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to deliver touch. That's what it comes down to. So you got to find touch tactics for those. Men's locker room. One of the things I love to see staff. Like I used to have people folding towels on. We had a big counter where your people come in, they get stuff, folding the towels there. Now we got a whole laundry room. Why don't you fold them in there? Because it's an ing opportunity. Folding towels becomes a touch opportunity. So anyway, everybody should do an encounter map. Have your supervisors in each department do an encounter map. Walking into the dining room, right? Sitting at the table, ordering the food, eating the food, leaving the table. Those are ing moments. Okay, what can we do to translate an ing moment into a social encounter opportunity? So principles for generating cement. These are just the principles you got to have. Be visible, accessible, and approachable. That's why I had a motto, because I didn't have kids. My wife was at work. People at home, paper at home, people at the club. Now people say, oh, that's dumb. I said, because I want to, at the club, be visible, accessible, and approachable. Now, if any of you done a financial statement analysis, and for me it's an intense thing because I'm writing down variance reports and all that. You're doing it in your office. You've got the curtains down. Nobody's supposed to come in. And all of a sudden somebody opens the door and say, Greg, are you busy? And you want to reach up and strangle them. Of course you are. Can they read your signals? Oh, no. Come on in. Let's talk, right? They're reading the signal. Walk lots, show the flag. Managed by walking around the club. I love it because the walking gives you encounter opportunities. And you can teach during those encounters. And I used to do never walk alone. You're always with staff. It's one of the things. Talk lots with everyone. Again, you're not in this business if you're not social. This is hospitality. You're a social animal. Meet lots. I love meetings, but meetings aren't just about meeting in the committee room. Meetings are just standing around and talking to the staff before the service begins. Debrief at the end. Help lots. Whenever you can, just jump in and give a hand. I loved working the parking lot. For us, on the holiday weekends in the summertime, the beach club parking lot was packed. So I would stand out there directing traffic, and the team was working with me. We were parking cars all over the place. It was fabulous. Staff says, he helps. Right on, dude. People would say, and I love it. What would people say? I bet Beth knows. People come up to me and they say, Greg, finally, you've got a job you can do. Ha, ha, ha. And we laugh. But the laughter brings us together. Laughter is an emotion. Fabulous. What an opportunity. Celebrate lots. I love to acknowledge life moments with the staff, with the members. You have a baby, you get married, somebody dies. Those are life moments. You get into a university, you graduate. Those are life moments. Acknowledge them. They're principles of cement. Sympathize a lot. Bad stuff happens. Parents die. Kids are thrown in jail. They're kicked out of school. I don't know. Bad stuff happens. Sympathize. I can judge your sympathy quotient by the way you've responded to the virus. These are bad times, or they have been. I'd like to say we're getting out. Write lots. Any excuse to send a message. Any excuse to send a message. And it doesn't matter. I say, David, great to have you down here today. Look forward to seeing you. And I love to take photographs with my camera. And it's an excuse for me. I love to take a photograph. I got Tony down there, Tony Sorrenti. I see Tony. Tony, how's it going? I just got to take a photograph for the staff face recognition board. Boom. And then what I do is I send you that photo. Tony, great having you at the club today. You look super. I understand you shot 187 for 18 today, but that's okay. You're still looking good, right? And to make it into a special, unique moment, right? So sympathize a lot. Write lots, mentor lots, become the shoulder to cry on. I like to say, people want alone time with Papa. Do you understand? Alone time with Papa. And my senior staff, I did it with my senior staff, the senior staff with their staff, 20 minutes each month where you had to meet one-on-one and talk about anything but business. It's like, how's your life going? Because relationships are more than the business component of what we do. So we're looking for the mentor lot, shoulder to cry on. So ponder this sometime. Identify three behaviors a team member should exhibit to be considered a generator of cement, right? What are the qualities you're looking for in a new hire? Right? You want to find out, does this person have the goods to be a deliverer of social KPIs? So these are just what I call glue tools. People have this. I like to say they also stay married a long time. Just a hint to those of you out there. Big happy. The most important thing, people want to be around happy people. My mother was the exact opposite of me. Isn't that interesting? I'd look outside, I'd say, Mama, what a great day. She'd say, yesterday was better. Huh? Some people are just born happy, others aren't. But these are glue tools. People want to be around staff and members who are happy, right? Big laugh, big buzz. They're excited. I used to bicycle to work. Again, it's 13 miles, so it's about an hour and 10 minutes each way. By the time I got there, I was feeling good, right? So the minute I got there, I felt buzzed. So from the moment you walk on, then I take my shower, shave, put on my suit, the whole thing come out, I'm buzzed, right? In the afternoon, I always broke up my afternoon. I played tennis in the afternoon, right? I came in, showered and shaved. I felt the buzz, right? People like that. Big positive, right? What went well, even better if, is a positive way to look at the madness that goes on. Big hospitality, want to do stuff for others. Big interesting. And I've got all sorts of tactics for figuring out if people have this. But are they interesting? You want to talk to them. Oh, what were you up to this week? What books are you reading? Where have you traveled to? Are they interesting or are they boring as a rock? How many of you out there love to be around and work with boring people? But your members are saying the same thing. They don't want to be around boring managers. Big help, big confident, big listen, big reach. They want people who reach out to them. They don't wait to be spoken to. They use every encounter as an opportunity to reach out. That's why I love to walk clubs with managers. I want to see, do they reach out? It's interesting. Hillcrest Country Club is a fabulous country club here in West LA. And Miles Tucker is the manager. He's brilliant. But Miles, I love to go around with Miles. He knows every employee. He's giving him the fist. He's yakking and talking. I said, wow, big listen, big reach, big conversation, big caring, big nowness. All right. Cell phones. I mean, turn them off. That's all I can tell you, because it destroys nowness. You go home to the kids. You're at the dinner table. You have your cell phone in your pocket. Oh, I got to take this one now. It destroys the now. Nowness is a glue tool. Big storyteller. Can you tell a story without putting people to sleep? Big mentor, big body language. Do you speak with your hands? And that's one of the reasons I used to love to bring in mimes. Here in California, they're cheap. If you're in Hollywood, you can get a mime cheap. But we message ourselves. We signal with our bodies. Is their body language boring or up? I like to say one of the things, I had a great assistant manager, fabulous. But she had our BBS, resting bad boy face. She was a happy person, but she didn't convey it. How many of you know somebody who that don't look happy and they are happy? I said, dude, I got to break your mirror. You got to look happy. Your body language matters. If you're standing there talking to somebody like this, I mean, man, you all know, because we're all dumb as a rock. You are talking to a woman and she goes like this. What does it tell you? Piss off. Right? There's body language that signals what it is. So ponder this sometime. Identify 5 tactics for creating emotional cement with staff and 5 for members. Now, we don't have time. Now, Beth, how much time do we have? Because I got a whole bunch of stuff here. You tell me.
We probably have just a couple of more minutes since we got started a little later. We're usually an hour. But
right. Okay, I'm gonna bless you. I'm gonna tell you. Everybody get this from me. Sorry, Beth. I cut you in.
How much longer do you need?
What's that now?
How much longer do you need?
6 hours. Let me just go through this. I'll do it quickly because what everybody should do, because we've really given all the principles now, which you need to have. Now you need tactics. Now I'm going to quickly just go through pages and pages of tactics. Now, Beth, what we should do after this is make sure you ask me for this outline. And I will send not only the outline, but I'll send a couple of articles I've written on social KPIs. And these will be the template you can use to evaluate if you want to do it or not do it, or how do you personalize and customize it. I think that's the way we do it, Beth. So glue tactics, personalize and customize the tactics. Now, here we go. Lobby duty. I'm big in that. No name, faces, and something about them. Number 1 should actually be no names, faces, and something about them. Lots of walk and talk. Become the member-to-member connector. Oh, Gregg, you love motorcycles, as I do. So does Doug Prestine over here. Let me introduce you to Doug. Be the member-to-member connector. Stretch the rules just a bit. I love to do that. Members join clubs so that the rules aren't tight, right? So you say, oh, well, the house rules say that you can only be 30 days to delinquent or we sell your membership, whatever it might be. I said, look, I love you, baby. I know you're going through a tough stretch like now. You stretch it a little bit because you know that you're still covered. But people like to have managers in clubs stretch the rules just a little bit, right? Do the tour with newbies. I love doing tours. The problem is they're not quick because I go around and want to talk to everybody. I want to tell everybody everything. I am I have the motto, point your finger and I will tell you the story. And walking around, do that. It's great with new members and new staff. Create the 1-page promo, word, sentence, photo. Do this with your staff, right? Do it at your monthly all staff meeting. It's fun. You got to overcome buyer's remorse. They spend a bunch of money and took months to get into your club. Again, hand deliver a basket of fruit and wine to them or something like that. Have your chef go up and deliver something to them. That's overcoming buyer's remorse. Somebody just buys a brand new Mercedes. They drive out of the lot and they said, I just spent $115,000 for this. What they do, Mercedes does a great job. They overcome buyer's remorse. They will send somebody over and send you a champagne or whatever it might be. It doesn't take much. This is us. I'm big on videos now. These are 90-second videos. This is us. This is our club. You should have a this is our club video. What do you capture? Senior staff meetings, all staff meetings. And again, I've got outlines and templates for all this stuff. Tours with newbies and wannabes. I love the wannabes one. I love to have, first of all, your membership director or marketing director takes wannabes around. You should go through what are they showing? How do they do it? Sexy sayings. I love sexy sayings philosophy. One of my things with new employees, with every pair of hands you hire, a brain comes free. Next one is, people before stuff. If you're a busboy, people are more important than the stuff. The cleaning of the table is less important than greeting the person that walks in. Alone time with Papa, that is personal time with staff or members. And I love to MC. Obviously, I'm a dancing monkey. I like to MC staff events and member events. Get in the trenches with the team. Get in the parking lot. Be out in the dining room. Doesn't mean that you're rolling up your sleeve and you're washing dishes. Some people do that. I salute you, but most people don't. The fact is, you got to know that you're shoulder to shoulder with them. I call it the bond of sweat. Newsletter articles. I love writing. Obviously, I wrote the whole newsletter so they can hear you by reading you. Keep that in mind. 1 foot rule, put 1 foot into every time once a day. Do this for your senior staff. Say you got to put 1 foot in every department once a day, and you'll have these encounters. Never alone tour rule. to pull names out of the hat. I love to do raffles and say, today, Mr. Dishwasher, you're going to walk around the club with me. And so they're walking around. All the members and staff know what's going on. It's about a bonding opportunity, an emotional thing. And we're talking. And then I love to stand in a place. And for me, it was on the beach at the end of the boardwalks. Everybody in the club can see us and we're talking along. It's an emotional statement about the type of club we have. Orientations, new staff, new member, and I do a whole thing on orientation. These are big, and I think they're mostly done really badly, right? How do you deliver the emotional component, the social KPIs? You know, you have ambassadors. These are members that are helping introduce new members. Big deal. Clubhouse photos. What photos do you put up around the club that say this is us? We used to change photos all the time. We have hundreds of member photos, current member photos. They're always happy, you know, taken. I have a club photographer, so they're great photos. People love to look at themselves. They love to come through, but that tells you something. It says members matter. Club newsletter articles, write all the time. I believe in lots of little, do not write a president's column. Do not write a manager's column. Break that into individual pieces. People will see a whole president's column. They go to sleep before they get to the end. Break it into 5 big topics. People will read those individual topics. Newsletter articles, acknowledge life moments. One of the newsletters, I got a contrarian newsletter approach, and we used to call it, what's wrong with this member? The club sent stinkers, they were, and they were composite of bad behaviors, and they're funny. But people knew what was right by knowing what's wrong. Knowledge life moments, birthday cards, anniversary notes, graduates, personalized notes, follow-ups after events. I love it. You just put on a party at the club, get a note from the general manager. Of course, you get a note from the function coordinator, the marketing director, whatever you do. Get a note from the manager. Great having your wedding here at the Beach Club. Hopefully it was as special as we felt in having you here. A personalized note. Follow up after events. Follow up those who aren't using the club. This is a huge one. You know, and all you got to do is look down the aging thing. You know who uses the club and doesn't. Just call them up or email them. Great, we haven't seen you in a while. We're looking forward to you. Next time you're down, I've got 2 drink tickets just for you and 2 Mai Tais you'll get. And each of those means you'll see Jesus coming out of the waves, whatever. Follow up with those who aren't using the club. So emotional cement is weakened when wrong things get done. What are 3 behaviors that will weaken the cement? So this is a good thing to talk about. How can we destroy it? Losing the buzz. If you lose the energy, you're going to lose the cement, right? Or it will weaken. Don't return telephone calls. This is a tactical thing. And don't ask me why. I email to people. People will email me, say, Greg, we'd love to have some of the stuff that you've written. And of course, it's free. I send it to them. They never send me a note back saying, thank you, Greg. I can't believe it. You know, and I sit back and I say, these are managers. You know, these are marketing directors. Like I have a thing, a lot of supervisors want my boot camp E&E. It's called an E&E workbook, enlarge and enrich workbook. It's 100 and something pages long. It's a paint by the numbers of how to take a street person and make him a 30-year employee. And I'll send it out. It's 125 pages, I think, total. They don't even write me back and say thank you. Yeah, I'm always amazed by that. Not engaging in conversation, not responding to complaints. Complaints are a huge opportunity to create emotional cement. It's not that there are problems. There are always problems. It's how you follow up will determine how much cement is created. Not following up when you say you're going to. Now, some of these things are comments that members have made about past managers at the Beach Club. A terrible thing to say, right? But they're just telling me stuff I already knew. Not following up when you say go to, oh, thank you for that. I'll follow up with that. You know, one of the managers after me, you know, and all my friends, excuse me, are past presidents of the club. And they write them a long involved not white paper, but a note talking about food service or whatever it might be. They never got a response from the general manager. Can you believe that? Right? So obviously that doesn't go well for their reputation. Big gloom. You got to be happy. Gloomy doesn't work. So how do you do it? Becoming the office cat, sitting too long in the office, wearing a bad boy face. Have somebody break your mirror, right? When you go around, are you smiling? Are you smiling without smiling? You know, believe me, this bad boy, you know, RBBF, resting bad boy face. You got to avoid it because people will think you're thinking something when you might not be. Making snide, unclever side comments. People like to say sarcastic, oh, you really look good today in those socks or whatever it might be. They think they're being funny. People don't like sarcasm when they're the focus of the sarcasm. Believe me when they say that. expressing cynicism. Oh, members are terrible, staff are terrible. When I'm in Australia, the managers, they bitch and moan about the staff, the cynicism they have. And I said, well, what is your HR journey like? And they say, huh? I say, no wonder they're cynical to you. Becoming a no mama, saying no right off the bat, losing the trust, saying you'll do something and not doing that. Trust is a commodity that's tough to get, easy to lose, right? They have tentative trust. That's people give it to you and you, but then you must have earned trust. Denigrating the loves that others love. I love to bicycle, right? I'm a touring biker. I'm not a stud boy racing biker. But somebody says, oh, that's a dumb way to get around LA. It's like, hold it, I love it. And you're telling me you don't like it. Don't do that. Find out what they love, affirm their love, saying it's bigger and better over there. How many members have I had, that will love to talk about, well, it's better over there or over here or this hotel. It just makes you feel like a schmo, taking others for granted, assuming they will always love you. Not going to happen. So you got to stop mixing the cement. People need relationships and community. Relationships, community are welded together with emotional experiences. Team members who create big step master emotional cement. And you, the manager, you, the assistant manager, you, the clubhouse manager, must be the master of emotional cement, because your job is to give the example that others follow. You provide the example that others follow. What did Einstein say? Examples aren't only the best way to learn, they are the only way to learn. A fish rots from the head down. Team members who have big love for the biz will always be able to deliver emotional cement. You got to love hospitality. That's why Ivy, a new manager at the Beach Club, she's brilliant. She's hiring all these Cal Poly kids. They're going 4 years to a hospitality school. They love hospitality. Now, you got to prepare for question time. Beth, I don't know if we have it, but, I had this. What's the one big question about emotional cement you want asked and answered right now? Now, I'm going to, just a second, I'm going to go off this for a second. I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to go to gallery view. I just love it. We go to gallery view. Now, what I'd normally do, now, obviously, we've run over already, Beth. I understand that. But normally what I do, I point my finger at Caleb. I look at Caleb right there. Caleb Warner, I see you right now, dude. Right? Take it. Go off mute, Caleb. Right now, go off mute. I love it. Okay. Caleb's looking. He's trying to go off mute. Beth, I don't know if we can do it from here.
Lower left.
What happened?
Corner.
Lower left-hand corner should be your mute button, Caleb.
I'm here. I think I've
there you are, Caleb. You're alive and well. I love it. Good to see you. What club are you at, Caleb?
Quail West.
Fabulous. How long have you been there?
2 months.
No, this is fabulous. You're a newbie. So
Yes.
all the things I'm talking about are critical. When the first day on the job, did you feel lonely and scared? Did you want dignity, status, and the buzz? Did you want those things?
Yeah.
You did, absolutely. So now you got a question. I'm looking up there. Viviana Moss up there in the corner is laughing because she wants to hear what sort of question you got. So Vivian, you better get ready because I'm coming after you in a second. Caleb, what question do you have about this emotional cement stuff?
How effective has it been for you in your experience in the club world?
Great. I was general manager at the Beach Club for 34 years. I am now a member for 6 years. They gave me, I didn't have to spend the $100,000. They gave me the membership. But one of the things is I pay dues every month. I told them I insist on paying dues. And that is an emotional thing. They said it must mean something, Greg, because of that. Now, how effective were these things? Let me tell you, Caleb, I wish that in the first year I've been manager, somebody had sat down and given me this seminar, because they didn't. And it took me years to come up. If you think I came up with this first day, you were wrong. Nobody gave me this stuff. It took me years to do it. Believe me, but once you get it, you want to stay there. So these are hugely effective. And the great thing about dealing with me, Caleb, is I did all this stuff. I'd like to tell you, Caleb, oh, I was sitting down with Beth and we made up all this stuff. All I had to do was write down stuff I already did. It's important. So this stuff works. And believe me, if you don't do it, you'll be gone. A lot of managers gone. There are a lot of business people out there. And business is a must. And I made them a lot of money. Yes. I understand that. But the fact of the matter is, the emotional component is what it is. Believe me, go down to the club with me sometime, right? And you walk through and members and staff and kids and everything, you still feel the love, right? And that's one of the concerns that the club has is Is the love gone? Will we get that love back? Are we becoming a resort? And I'm saying if we do things right, it won't be a resort. It is a club. But one of the problems, we're getting a lot of very wealthy new members, right? And they really want a resort experience. So times are changing. Fascinating stuff, Caleb. Caleb, it works. I can tell you right now. I just wish I was down there to slap you on the side of the head and say, you better do it, dude, or else. Viviana, what's
Yes.
what club are you at, Viviana?
Puerto Vida Villa Grande Club in South Florida.
Fabulous. How long have you been there?
16 years.
Fabulous. You're my type of woman. What can I tell you? 16 years. So tell everybody here, what is the one thing that you really like about that club that has kept you there for 16 years?
I love the people I work with. I love my members.
Fabulous. Many people will say, most staff will say, if the money's okay, you stay where you like the people you work with and the person you work for, right?
Yes.
People talk about money. Money is a dissatisfier, right? I love it. Viviana, I obviously called on the right person. So you've got a question I can tell, right? What is your question about emotional cement?
Emotional cement. Sometimes we get caught up a lot in the machinery.
Absolutely.
So I always look forward to this type of webinars where I get inspired to get out of that routine after so many years and get out of the office. And well, there's so many things that we need to tackle.
Well, let me give you an example of that right now. Let me take off on one of that. Again, I only gave you a couple of ideas. One of the things I like to do tours. So you take, say, the maintenance department from my club to the Los Angeles Country Clubs around the corner. And again, I know all the managers here. Put the maintenance departments together. It gets them excited. They talk to other people who know what they're talking about. It's more, get them out of their space. Viviana, you hit on one of the principles. Take them out of their space. Get them connected with other people who do what they do within the club and outside the club. We had a rule where you had to spend 1 day every 6 months working in another department. Huh? For no other reason that you meet people. You're not going to become a chef in 1 day, but you meet people. So that's great. So the principle that you'd have is get them out of where they are. That's one of the reasons why I had the 1 foot rule for my supervisors. First of all, I say after an hour, stand up, walk outdoors. Anybody do this?
Yes.
Because the minute you get out of the office, you feel better. You just walked outdoors. You go into the parking lot and you wave to people. You feel better. Viviana, you hit one of the principles right on the nose. Okay, Beth, pay her 50% more. Oh, we're not paying you, are we, Viviana? Okay, good try. So I'm going to come down to the next guy, Chris Alvarez. Chris, take yourself off mute. I caught you mid-bite there, didn't I? I love that. Yes. There you are, Chris. Chris, what club are you at and how long have you been there?
I'm at Windermere Country Club. I've been here for 3 years.
Fabulous. That's what is the one thing, the one word you'd use to describe Windermere to a guy like me who's never been there? What's that one word?
I would say that the culture, one word. No, I would say the one word would be just, man, I'm a deep thinker, Mr. Patterson. I don't know if I can just say it in one word. You're very long-winded as well as I am. I would say unique. I would say
fabulous.
Family.
No, fabulous.
Family.
That word,
family would be my word.
Family is great or unique. Both of them you can teach that, can you not? Say Absolutely. We are a family club. That's the word we teach you. You better get to like kids. Is it true that a 95-year-old person wants something different than a 5-year-old kid? If you're family oriented,
yes and no.
You've got yes and no. Sometimes the older you are, the more like a kid you are. I understand that. So fabulous stuff. So tell me, what is your question of the day? Question of the day. Now, a couple of principles. I'll give you 60 sayings. All knowledge is question driven. Right off the bat. Curiosity is nature's original school of education. 2 sexy sayings. Curiosity is nature's original school of education. All knowledge is question driven. Chris, what is your question of the day?
How can we build better connections on a daily basis with a wide range of different people that utilize our club in so many different ways from so many different backgrounds.
Well, okay, it's a wonderful idea. Now, first of all, with staff, it's easy. During the orientation, I had like 5 basic questions. You know, where are you from? What are your passions? What are your expectations? You could do that with new members when you orient it. But if you arm your staff with those questions, by way of example, you're talking to me. I'm a member of your club now, brand new member. You want to know me because you're the head of X, Y, and Z department, whatever it might be. You come up, the way you get to know people is to ask questions. If you are curious about people, you ask questions. That's what it comes down to. So the question, the key thing is you've got to ask a question. Like with me, Mr. Patterson, where do you travel when you go on vacation? Well, you know, when I can, I'm supposed to be in Italy right now, but I can't get there, whatever, right? You know, the question will guide you toward a deeper understanding of that person. Then what you do, Chris, once you find out what that person's interests are, you must tell the staff, you must tell the other people what that is. That is absolutely fundamental and critical. Your knowledge must be spread around, right? You must become the trumpet for that knowledge. And one of the things we have a member photo opportunity each month. I have classes in member names and faces. But in order to know somebody, you have to recognize their face, know their name, and know something about them. So you've given your staff a mission. They must know everybody's name. They must recognize their face. They must know something about them. At the debrief each day, you say, okay, who did we have in for dinner tonight? Well, we had Mr. Gregg Patterson. Okay, what did you find out he likes? He really digs airplanes, right? Okay, did you add? So all of a sudden you write it down on your piece of paper. Obviously now, if Dick Copland's, I thought I saw Dick on there a second ago, Copland and Keebler, they would tell you, put it in your computer. I tell you, put it on your 3x5 card, whatever it might be. But the fact of the matter is your job is to spread those insights to the community. That's a huge issue. Huge thing. Great one, Chris. Fabulous. Now I've got a group up there. It's called Boardroom. And you got a bunch of people there all with masks on. You know, good to see you. Wave to me to make sure you hear me. They hear me. Now, the 3 of you, I can tell you're very clever people. You've got something in your hand right now. I can't even see it.
It's Team B&T, Falcon Tennis Club in Palm Beach.
Fabulous. In Palm Beach. I love Palm Beach. What can I tell you right now? So the 3 of you have obviously been discussing all this stuff and one thing and the next. Who's going to throw the question at me about social KPIs? Who's going to do it?
There you go.
Okay, I'm going to decide. The man on the left, that's a man, is it?
Yes.
Okay, obviously they're all pointing at you because they figure you're not going to have a good question. That's what they're doing.
Always does.
I can barely hear you. Ask your question.
Good morning,
Hold it. Stand up and come closer to the camera. I want to see you. Right.
Right.
Can you get closer?
Good morning, Mr.
Now I see you. See that?
How you do, Claude?
Ask your question.
The question start, Mr. Patterson. How can you keep the members and the staff happy?
Oh, fabulous. It's a great thing. First of all, the easiest thing to do would be happy yourself. Remember, if you're happy, people around you have a tendency to be happy as well. So the first thing I would look to, if I were talking to you and the team, the supervisor team, do we address the principles of happiness ourselves so that when we come each day, we're happy? So one of the things that I'd say when we come, I call it warm up, right? So if you want to make members and staff happy, you got to do the warm up. I used to bicycle in. I'm listening to books on tape. I'm writing notes because I always have my notepad with me. My notepad, where is it? Anyway, there it is. Anyway, my notepad with me. By the time I arrive at the club, I'm feeling good, right? So the warm up is maybe the most important thing. When you drive your car in, do not listen to the news. Come in with it, listen to music or listen to nothing. So that by the time you get there, you're upbeat and you're feeling good. That is the key thing right off the bat right there. So how do you make members happy? Walking around. There are always different pockets. Do the walk and talk, right? Walk around, you see member groupings, the golfers that just come in. Be on the first tee at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, handing out coffee with Kahlua in it. Believe me. No, and you'll make people happy. It sounds crazy. It's a personalized experience, is it not? They laugh and they joke and one thing and the next. There are dozens of tactics. And with the staff, I'll give you the two most basic staff happiness criteria. I'll give it to you right now. The up brief before the shift starts, you must do an up brief, and there's 5-minute education, all the stuff that goes on. And then the debrief each day. So when they come in, your job is to energize them with the up brief. And before they leave at night is debrief the day. These are the three things that I would do at the debrief. What went well, even better if, the standard thing. What is your question of the day? What is your story of the day? And then I'd write them down in one thing and the next. You want to make staff happy? Those are the two criteria. But then a monthly all staff meeting. Anyway, I could go on and on and on and on. Great questions. These women who are there and wanted to be silent should pay you each $10. Give them $10. Each of you give them $10 right now. I like that. Okay, Mike Z, take yourself off mute. No, you're on mute. Oh, there you are, Mike. How are you, Mike?
Doing great.
I love it. Mike's first response was immediately to wave to me. I like your type and you're smiling. I'm going to give you a 20% raise right now. But Mike, where are you? How long have you been there?
I've been here for 15 years at Spring Run Golf Club.
Fabulous. Fabulous. What is the one word? No, let's do this. You'll know you're at the club because. What would you do to fill in a sentence for a guy like me?
Because you're happy. I mean, you're around people that you want to be with.
That's the sort of club. The minute I hear that from somebody, I said, I want to be there. So that must mean when you play golf there, people are happy. When you have dinner there with people, I like that. Fabulous. So Mike Z, give me your question of the day.
Oh, I didn't really have a question, but I don't have one right now.
I'm sure you do. Anything at all, about anything, right? Anything. What do I eat for breakfast? What kind of coffee do I have in the morning? What books am I reading? I don't know.
What kind of plane did you have?
What's that?
What kind of plane did you have?
Oh, a Piper Cherokee 235, my baby, right? It had an 0540 B4, B5 engine at 235 horse. And I would put about 300 hours a year on it. I'd go through Mexico. I had members who had places in Mexico, so we'd fly down and go around. It got worse and worse because every time I stopped, the police, the soldiers would come out and check my airplane out. I said, look, if I'm a drug dealer, I'm not going to land my plane at the airport and do a flight plan. I love my plane. But you know what happened is, I had it 35 years and my value equation went down, and I'm very good at closing the door. People have said, well, you don't have the plane anymore. Do you rent planes? No. If I'd rented a plane, I would have kept the plane. You don't get rid of it. So Piper Cherokee 235. As a matter of fact, I've flown it to conferences, club manager conferences in Florida from Los Angeles. And I'd land, they usually are in Orlando, and there are a couple of airports in Orlando. And I would land at one of the remoter airports, and then I'd drive the car over. I love my plane. It was a magic carpet. And I give you a story. One time, because twin engine airplanes are extremely expensive to maintain. So you can get one fairly cheaply. And I was saying to my wife, honey, I think I want to buy a twin engine airplane. It's fabulous. She said, that's wonderful, Greg. The next Mrs. Patterson will love it. So Mike, I stayed away from it. Beth, I can keep going on. You tell me what we should do. Beth, you're on mute.
It's on the phone.
Oh, I better go to somebody else. I got one up in the corner. It says presenter. I don't know who you are. It's a woman. It says presenter. I thought I was the presenter. Take it off mute, Miss Presenter. I don't even know if you know you. That's it. I'm waving to you right now. You've got a curtain behind you. You've got a photo up there. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, I'm going to go down to Carl. Carl, you look very professional. You got a tie on, right? Carl, go off mute. I like it. Tell me where you are, Carl, and how many years you've been there.
I'm in South Florida at the club of Quail Ridge in Palm Beach.
How many years you been there?
I'm going on 5 years right now.
Fabulous. Now, if I like people who have passions. What is the passion you have? Don't tell me work's your passion. Believe me, people love to tell me that, thinking that it occurs. What do you love doing? What gives you genuine excitement?
Well, I enjoy anything that has to do with sport.
Fabulous.
I love golf. I do love flying as well. I love to do yoga, running. Like right now with the Olympics, that's absolutely phenomenal to me. I love all of it.
Fabulous. Just outstanding what they've done. I mean, it's pretty amazing what these people are doing. I was watching these girls do the 800-meter or the 400-meter last night at hurdles. Did you watch that?
Certainly did.
Ah! I mean, I couldn't believe. First of all, I would knock down everyone if I went over them. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant, you know. And I like golf, but I'm one of those 192 for 18-hole golfers. But I laughed the entire time. So, Carl, what is your question, Carl? You look very professional. I like that look. What can I say? Whereas I look like I've just been reading and drinking coffee. Beth, and one day early, this is what you get. Sorry, babes. Right? So, Carl, what's your question?
The question that I would have for you is actually, how would you like to be remembered 40 years from now in the club industry?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I got three things. I tell you, my tombstone. Yeah, we should all write our tombstone. I'll tell you what's on my tombstone. How's that? My life tombstone is he met interesting people who, through great conversation, enlarged and enriched his life. That's it, right? He met interesting people who, through great conversation, enlarged and enriched his life. I want to be remembered as a guy that engaged in conversation. At the club, because you have three parts on your tombstone. My professional part, that was my life part, right? Remember, my wife said, you know, we met and the conversation has never ended. My club part is like, he helped create the buzz. He helped create relationships and community using the buzz, which is excitement, the love, and the glow. That's what I did in business. That's what they paid me for. And lastly, my people thing. How do I want to be remembered? He became the man his wife would marry and live with for the rest of her life. That's how I want to be remembered. Everybody should be writing their tombstone, Carl, every day. You should live according to your tombstone. And most people don't. I tell students this all the time. They say, oh, Greg, what would you do? I said, what do you want on your tombstone? The reason I say that is I was the town gravedigger in Pittsfield, my hometown in Maine, for 8 years, small town, 3,500 people, for 8 years in high school and college. And I looked at a lot of tombstones because when you're not digging graves and burying people, you're mowing lawns. And I'd read all these tombstones going way back to the early 1800s. And everybody put on, oh, great father, great husband, whatever it might be. And I always said, you know, we all should write our own tombstone before we die. And we should live according to our tombstone. Carl, what you ask is profound. How do we want to be remembered? I'll give an example. You know, when you give a funeral, and as Reverend Gregg, I've given 25 eulogies at funerals, right? They're two different. There's a funeral eulogy where you talk about what a wonderful person, what a great life, or whatever it might be. But then there's the resume eulogy. Oh, he ran this corporation, he did that. Which one do you want to hear at a funeral, Carl? You want to hear the life journey one. What a great husband that was, great father. Great issue. We all should live according to our tombstone. So, Beth, what do you say? What do we do? I keep going?
I'm thinking that folks need to start getting to the lunch so they can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right too. That's right. Out here, it's earlier.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Thank you to everybody for staying on. I wanted to tell you that we had a max of 64 people, and all 64 of those people stayed on till at least 12:15. So everybody was on and engaged. So you got that engagement thing down.
But you see, when it comes to engagement, the lesson is right now. I love Zoom when I can see the gallery and I just start pointing at people. Yeah. Right. And it's amazing how you put people on the hot seat and they respond. Yeah. Bright people always respond. I loved it.
I have put the link for the education credits in the chat box, and the password is STICK, STICK, with a capital S is the password, and you have until Monday afternoon to get those credits in. And Greg, we can't thank you enough for me putting you on the spot, and I apologize. in front of everybody that I got off a day with you on that. But thank you for being able to jump in. You know, somebody knows their stuff if they can do it on a whim like you did. So thank you.
Beth, we're always looking for memorable moments. When I was coming out to get another coffee and I looked at my cell phone. I said, what's going on? And I read out, I was so embarrassed, but I was energized. Hopefully I was energized.
You're always energized. So thank you, everybody. And thank you, Gregg.